After seeing Thanos gather all of the Infinity Stones and eviscerate half of all life in the universe during Avengers Infinity War, we were left with one burning question. Where the heck were Korg and Meek? These guys stole the show during Thor Ragnarok, and we know there's something special in store for them in the MCU. Will Korg ever manage to print enough pamphlets? Let's find out. But before we take a look at how Korg might start a revolution against Thanos in Avengers 4, subscribe to CBR and ring that bell to join our notification squad so you never miss any of our MCU videos. Avengers Infinity War gets a lot of credit for its fast pace, but Thor Ragnarok was no slouch in this department either. In the first half hour, we saw more interesting action than in the entirety of Thor: The Dark World. Over the course of the movie, we see Thor defeating the mighty fire demon Surtur, Odin dies, and we learned that he had a daughter named Hela. Oh, and used to be kind of a jerk to his older boys before he settled down to race Thor and Loki. Classic dad stuff, really. Then, Hela destroys Mjolnir and almost destroys Asgard, before Thor saves Asgard, ironically, by having Surtur destroy it. Oh, and we got to see Jeff Goldblum playing the Grandmaster on the planet Sakaar, but it's a testament to what a great movie Thor Ragnarok was, that Jeff freaking Goldblum wasn't the most exciting new character to be introduced in the movie. Although, if Mr. Goldblum ever asks about that, we would deny it up and down. Instead, we're going to be talking about this pile of rocks waving at you. Just kidding. It's actually our good friend Korg. Whenever we see Thor teaming up with the Avengers in the MCU, his particular sense of humor and enthusiastically naive comments never fail to elicit a laugh from the audience. So to have a relatively minor character be such a scene stealer in a Thor movie is kind of incredible. But that's exactly what Korg managed to accomplish during Thor Ragnarok. Just who managed to voice such an incredible character? We don't blame you for not recognizing him under all those rocks, or more realistically, that motion capture suit. Korg is actually voiced by Taika Waititi, who also wore the motion capture suit and, oh yeah, directed the entire movie. The apparently multi-talented and multitasking Waititi said he wasn't sure how big of a role Korg would be when the movie first started. Different directors utilized different methods, and Taika Waititi is a big believer in the power of improv. When asked about the dialogue of Thor Ragnarok, he admitted that up to 80% of it was improvised by the cast. This may have been way more fun than reading off a script, but it did come with some unique challenges, particularly where Korg was concerned. Jake Morrison was the visual effects supervisor for the movie, and said creating a humorous CGI character is even more challenging than a dramatic one. Plus, he had to make a character designed to look like a pile of rocks come across as both realistic and personable. After all, a creature which looks unrealistic or off-putting could majorly detract from a well-timed joke. Basically, the funnier Waititi made Korg, the more of a challenge Morrison had to deal with. Originally, Korg was only supposed to appear in a couple of scenes and had very few lines, but during a table read, Waititi and Thor actor Chris Hemsworth discovered their two characters had an absolutely hilarious back and forth. Both Hemsworth and Marvel Studios fell in love with Korg and wanted him to have a greater role in the movie. So just what is Korg? He's a member of the race known as Kronans. We've actually seen a Kronan before during Thor: The Dark World, who was a member of the Marauders and attempted to duel Thor. As you can imagine, that duel went about as well as you'd expect for the Kronan, but Waititi wanted Korg to be much more than an overpowered pile of rocks. The character was actually inspired by some Polynesian bouncers Waititi befriended in New Zealand. He came to like the idea of a character who looks incredibly intimidating, but is actually fairly soft-spoken and kind. If you think about it, Korg is sort of like Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy, but with a much bigger vocabulary. While Korg definitely made us laugh, he also brings something even more important to the movie: emotional intelligence. When Thor tells him about Hela destroying Mjolnir, he responds with a surprisingly insightful and sympathetic answer. Most of our favorite MCU heroes aren't known for being able to talk about their feelings. They pretty much just try to punch them away. If Loki and Thor were able to openly communicate with one another about their true feelings, the Thor franchise would have been a lot shorter, and we probably would have never gotten to Thor Ragnarok at all. Although superheroes aren't known for talking about their feelings, one personality trait most of them do have is a keen sense of loyalty. Sure, Korg isn't exactly a member of the Avengers, but we saw him demonstrate an extreme amount of loyalty towards his new friend Thor. After they bond in the gladiatorial quarters on Sakaar, a visage of Loki appears. Despite witnessing Loki's power, Korg still tried to attack him in order to protect Thor. War. Sure, it didn't exactly work since it was just an illusion, but it's the thought that counts. When Korg and Thor first meet, Korg was eager to tell the God of Thunder all about the revolution he had once been planning. Successful revolutions are the ones that we hear about in our history books, which are filled with tales of heroism, but sadly, Korg's revolution wasn't one of the successful ones. He tried to launch a rebellion against the Grand Master, but he just couldn't print up enough pamphlets in time for the first meeting. Only his mother and her boyfriend showed up, and Korg doesn't even like his mother's boyfriend. Clearly, this was an absolute tragic situation already, but it got worse for our poor friend. His rebellion failed, and he was forced to fight in the gladiatorial arena of Sakaar for the amusement of the Grand Master. Now, it's safe to say this revolution ended pretty badly, but Korg remained undeterred. All heroes fight losing battles from time to time, but the important part is that they keep fighting. And among his many traits, Korg is definitely a fighter. It's clear that Korg is ready and willing to speak about issues and injustices big and small. When Thor was looking over weapons to prepare for his battle with the Hulk, Korg noted the sad state of the communal weapons. Some of us struggled to get our roommates to wash their dishes, but Korg straight up tells these warriors they need to wash the blood and hair off their weapons before putting them back. This maybe wasn't too impressive on its own, but it's an example of Korg's personality and ability to lead. As soon as things start getting frantic and escape seems possible, Korg kicks into high gear. He's immediately on board with the rebellion, commanding others and assuming a leadership position among the other prisoners. Loki gets a lot of credit for helping out Thor when he could just as easily bow out of the battle, but Korg risked his life to save the Asgardians as well. It's clear that Korg is a character with a strong sense of moral justice and the ability to get things done. Thor Ragnarok had a happy ending. Well, for the most part. Sure, the land of Asgard was destroyed, even the Foundation, but most of its people survived to fight another day, and then we have Avengers Infinity War, which had one of the unhappiest endings that we can imagine. As we all know, at the end of the movie, Thanos uses the power of the Infinity Gauntlet in order to wipe out half of all life in the universe. Naturally, the first question we wanted to know the answer to was, is Korg okay? Well, we've seen some evidence that he may not only be alive and well, but making an appearance in the fourth Avengers movie. During the commentary for Infinity War, screenwriter Christopher Marcus remarked, "All I can say is pray for Korg." Now, if Korg had been destroyed when Thanos snapped his fingers, there wouldn't be really much point in praying for him, would there? Could this be a hint that he's still around? During the commentary, it was also revealed that Valkyrie had made it to safety in an escape pod, so it doesn't sound too crazy to suggest that Korg may also have survived all the way through Avengers Infinity War, even though we didn't see him. There were so many characters in that movie that it's no surprise Korg didn't make it in, but this doesn't mean he's gone. We didn't get to learn anything about the members of Thanos' Black Order because of the time constraint, but it was still implied that Proxima Midnight and Corvus Glaive were married like in the comic books. Since we know a lot had to get cut out, this gives us hope Korg is still alive. As you've probably heard, director James Gunn was responsible for the first two Guardians of the Galaxy movies, but was fired due to some offensive comments. This leaves many fans wondering if Taika Waititi will step up and direct Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and have a bigger role in the MCU. If Waititi is going to be having a heavier hand in Marvel movies, it would make sense that Korg would be involved as well. We also spotted Korg in the Marvel promo for the Revolution 2.0 motion comic Contest of Champions, and what a surprise, Korg is starting yet another revolution. There's no question that if something is bothering him, Korg will do whatever it takes to solve the problem, and will enlist others along the way to help. If Korg found himself alive following the events of Infinity War, there's no doubt in our minds he would want to help. It seems as though Marvel has embraced his revolutionary nature, and we could definitely see him getting people to band together in order to oppose the Mad Titan. There's no way one single hero could defeat Thanos on their own, not when he has all of the Infinity Stones in his possession. In order to defeat Thanos, you'd most likely need an entire army, and this is an arena in which Korg could be useful. We aren't saying Korg is going to single-handedly overthrow Thanos or anything, just that he could have his own small part in defeating him. Ever since we first met him in Thor Ragnarok, it was clear that Korg was much more than simply comedic relief. Based on what we've heard so far, it seems likely that he survived the events of Infinity War. If that's true, we don't think there's any way he'll take what Thanos did lying down. There's no doubt it'll take an army to defeat Thanos at this point, and Korg just might be able to raise one. Do you think Korg survived the events of Avengers Infinity War? And do you think we'll see him start a revolution against Thanos in the 4th movie? Let us know your predictions for Korg in the comments section below. Then click on the subscribe button for more great videos from CBR. Thanks for watching.